I guess when you kind of think of an accelerator program in general, it exists to wrap this package of resources and networks and support and knowledge around really ambitious startup founders. And so when it comes to the biotech category, people that are engineering biology to create new products, what about that domain needs specific support? What does the 10x Accelerator do that's that kind of bespoke support for biotech founders?
Yeah, great question. So there's no doubt that biotech founders are going to face some of the most difficult, timely, expensive, roadmaps that exists with lots of regulatory hurdles, lots of strategic partnerships. So there's just no way that, biotech founders can do it alone. And basically what this Bio10x program is doing and what we're doing is we're supporting biotech founders through the Valley of Death. So the Valley of Death is this point where, at the top of the canyon, I guess, on one side, you've had a scientist who's made a discovery, and then that's usually where resources and support from universities tends to drop off.
So you sort of, that might have been funded by grants through something like the Australian Research Council or something like that, where you have a sort of a scientific grant that might have funded many sort of millions of dollars or years worth of work.
Absolutely, yeah. And, amazing discoveries are locked up in institutions, universities across the world. And I truly believe we've got the discoveries for all of our challenges. And, the biggest challenge we face as a society is getting those discoveries into, commercial outcomes.
Yeah, so from science to product takes a lot of work, takes a lot of effort, often takes a lot of money or access to resources.
Yeah.
And on the other side of that canyon is investors who don't want to invest in science, they want to invest in products.
Absolutely. So what the Bio10x program does is it helps, biotech startups and founders survive through that valley of death and help them reach that inflection point where investors realize there is value in this and I want to invest.
So one of the things we do through the Bio10x program is we'll invest in the people that are selected. How much money will be invested in Bio10x founders and what are the high-level terms of that investment?
Yeah, so through the UNSW Founders Program, we invest $20,000 through a safe investment, so a simple agreement for future equity, very founders friendly. And then we've also got a lot of different creative capital opportunities for the founders. So BioPlatforms Australia offers $50,000 cash in kind to biotech founders, and that's I like to think of BioPlatforms Australia, what Amazon is to consumers, BioPlatforms is to analytical services. So there's that. We've got access to PC2 infrastructure, which is so important as well.
So through the Bio10x program, they'll receive a $20,000 investment. Roughly, if that's a safe discount and cap, what does that look like?
Yeah, so no cap and discounted. So the specifics of it haven't been decided, but it's about 15 to 25%. Yeah.
Great. So really founder-friendly terms on that $20,000 investment. Really great partnership that Bio10x has with BioPlatforms. So that's up to $50,000 worth of analytical services. So essentially you can run up a tab of $50,000. Based on some of the teams we've had through the 10x Accelerator in the past, what are some of the workflows or experiments or outcomes that one might be able to do through that BioPlatforms $50,000?
Yeah, so BioPlatforms, they have a whole network of different services available. So there's things in proteomics, genomics, metabolomics, all the omics, across Australia. So let's say you're working on strain development, you've got a unique proprietary strain that you need to do some characterization. You need to extract the DNA, do some gene sequencing. You can do that through the genomic services, or perhaps you want to understand some of the proteins being excreted by your yeast strain. You can access some proteomics services. So yeah, there's a whole range of options there.
So things you can't easily do from your bedroom or garage, we might be able to sort of engage through Bio10x, that partnership with BioPlatforms. And then similarly, something we make available to the people selected into Biotech is access to PC2 labs or physical containment level 2 labs where you can sort of do certain science or certain experiments in a kind of safe, controlled manner. And so anything in particular you want to share about that opportunity that we help make available through the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're also partnered with BABS, which stands for the School of Biotechnology and Biomolecular Sciences here at UNSW. They've been absolutely amazing to work with. They really understand what we're trying to build here, the community and the ecosystem. So they've been opening up their lab space to, Bio10x startups. I've definitely seen founders out there that have been bootstrapping their initial R&D in their backyard, which I think is so amazing. But there gets a point where you do need to be in an established lab to be safe, tap into the procurement processes that universities have, the licenses as well, because some of the materials you'll be using or might need to use are prohibitive, like antibiotics, things like that. So having access to a PC2 lab within a university is a huge win.
Yeah, it's not just a lab, it's all the processes and workflows to get approvals and licenses or access to materials that might be really difficult for a startup company with no track record to get by themselves.
Yeah, and also if you're all of a sudden ordering heaps of chloroform and ethanol,
you'll come up on a list you don't want to be on.
Yeah, you'll be on a watch list. So just let the universities do that one.
Excellent. And so one of the early success stories out of our kind of biotech startup support has been Cauldron. And so that's a company that's gone from incorporation to a really impressive scale in the first 2 years. They've raised about $20 million of venture capital to fund that. Based on, that journey or that story, anything else you can share with people who are thinking about applying to Bio10x about what we're able to help people achieve if there's a good match between their vision and energy and what the market actually wants?
Yeah, absolutely. So as David said, Cauldron Molecules, they recently closed out Series A, which is amazing, 9.5 million AUD. And I think, Michelle Stansfield, when she started out, maybe a lot of people didn't believe in the vision that she had, but she did. And that's all that matters because she is the founder of her company. And if you're lucky enough to meet her and, learn from her, you'll understand what we're talking about when we say the enthusiasm that founders have. Like she's one of those people that she can, have a village behind her, pushing her to achieve her vision. And if you don't know much about Cauldron, they're going to be so imperative to unlocking the bioeconomy in Australia. So many startups coming through the ranks will rely on the services and the technology developed by Cauldron.
So in terms of when I talk to people about the potential of applying to Bio10x, a lot of people self-select out without talking to us. So definitely encourage, if you are interested in Bio10x, talking to Maddie is a great idea, because it's not just about a specific genetic modification. It might be you have an idea for the picks and shovels infrastructure that the bioeconomy of the future might need. Cauldron's a great example of that. Michelle's a great example of the type of founder we're searching for as well. Great founders can come from anywhere. They could be an undergraduate student. They could be someone close to retirement. They could be a scientist. They could be a business person. But one of the things that really stands out about Michelle is she was really proactive about pitching her vision, looking for opportunities. Michelle was the first person to contact us when we launched our biotech support program. And so I think the big takeaway from anyone that's thinking about biotech is to just come early. Don't select out without chatting to us first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other kind of misconceptions about, especially when it comes to Biotech Accelerator program, any other misconceptions you've seen or just advice you have for people that are thinking of applying, stand out from the crowd?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is actually addressing what is biotechnology. A lot of people in this space ask me, what is biotechnology? And the way I like to think about it is thinking about biology broadly. So you've got, in my mind, two streams of biology. You've got the biologists who go out into the world and report back on the world. So your botanists, your environmental scientists, your ecologists, and they tell us, hey, based on all of this data we've collected and statistic modeling that we've done, we know our climate is changing. That's bad. And then you've got your biotechnologists that look at the world and the environment and they go, okay, how can we use biology to benefit us? So basically unlocking the secrets of biology and, creating new compounds or products. So that includes therapeutics, and it can include food, agriculture, cosmetics, industrial chemicals. It's so broad in its application, but it's all about using biology. So you might, if you're listening to this and you're a scientist and you work in a particular field, you might not resonate with the terminology of biotechnologist, but just think, are you using biology for a benefit? And you probably are using biotechnology.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think one of the things I find really helpful when I'm talking to people about biotech for the first time is, imagine a cow. It's essentially a process for turning carbohydrates into protein. And so using the tools and technologies of biotechnology, we can turn carbohydrates into protein without the cow. And there's many ways one could do that. And I think that example also serves as a great flag for how hard biotech is as well as startups, because there's been many hundreds of millions, maybe billions of dollars raised by essentially like sort of cell-based meat startups. Yep. And there's a couple of them going pretty well, but a lot have closed, sort of had to go and failed. And so I think it's just another example of when you're thinking about crossing the huge valley of death, doing a university-based accelerator program, tapping into the resources and expertise of the university. One of the things we haven't talked about is there's a whole host of industry-specific grants where you can only apply for it if you have a university partner and an industry partner. I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on there about some of the unique opportunities that happen if you do have a university partner for your startup.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to think of it as creative capital. So how to make, here at Founders, you always say 1 + 1 = 10 whenever we're talking about partnerships or anything like that. I'd like to think about that for money as well. How do you make your dollar go further? So things like the TIA vouchers that are going at the moment. It's a voucher that up to 50K, that if you put in 50K, you get 50K, and you have to be partnered with a registered facility. And lo and behold, a lot of those facilities are universities. So, and then, you include your R&D tax rebate. So you're essentially making 25K into 100K. So it's thinking about strategies like that. And a lot of those opportunities are unlocked when you're affiliated with a university.
Anything we haven't touched on you want to, especially with that audience of people that are considering applying to Biotechnology?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I would like to touch on that I like to bring to Biotechnology is the project management that you'll have to engage in. So, no doubt when you've got a room full of scientists, you have so many ideas on the table, and you need to think about what is the critical path you need to take to get to market. So you'll have your R&D roadmap, your regulatory roadmap, and your commercial roadmap, and learning how to manage those projects to form your go-to-market strategy. These are the sort of things that the Biotechnology program takes you through.
I think to build on that, one of the things I've found really interesting and I've learned over the past few years as we've supported biotech startups is, as part of a sales process with a customer for many potential products, you'll get certain questions around, what's your quality management system, or do you have this certification? And often startup founders that are doing a biotech for the first time will say, oh no, we don't have that. And that kills the sales cycle. When actually, even if you don't have it, there's a particular way you can frame your answer to say, well, we have this, I can send you this. And usually that's enough to keep the sales cycle going. And so I think there's a huge amount of benefit from having a subject matter expert in the loop as you're thinking about what are those roadmaps across those areas of the science, the commercial, the regulatory, and they're not just 3 separate documents.
Yeah.
They're interrelated, and just having people whether that's yourself leading the program, whether it's some of the really experienced mentors who could be successful founders, or they could be experts from the industry, expert scientists. They can sort of whisper in your ear and say, well, you might get a question like this, and even though you don't have this certification yet, prepare this document, say it this way, and you can tell the truth, but keep the sales cycle going rather than hit a brick wall.
Yeah, absolutely. And, full disclosure, I am not an expert in a lot of the things that startups will be doing, but I make sure that I find the experts and bring them into the program. So we have so many amazing mentors, our entrepreneurs in residence, they're previous founders, ex-CEOs of ASX listed companies. So it's about the community to help these startups through the valley of death.
Yeah, and that's really the role that UNSW plays, is this philanthropically funded team that really curates this network, both in general for startup founders and also specifically for biotech startup founders.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you.